So here we have the PlayStation 5, and in my previous videos I discussed about some experiences with the fan noise and coil whine, just determining to see what it is. And in my last video I found out that there was an article about how some PlayStation 5s get different types of fans. So here we go, we're going to open up this device today just to take a look and see what kind of fan was installed in my digital edition and go from there. So here I'll go ahead and speed it up a little bit as we're going through opening the device up. Overall, it's not a hard process. Just make sure you have your screws in place. Some of the screws are a little bit hard to reach unless you dismantle most of the device, but with a little bit of prying and pushing, you won't damage the device and you'll be able to access it. The worst one was this top screw right here and how it's positioned, but like I said, with a little bit of pushing and prying of the top plastic, I was able to access it. There we go, I pushed it right there, and then I went ahead and kept unscrewing it, and that's the biggest screw on the device itself. Now it has two large screws, one extra large screw and one smaller screw. Now we can go ahead and take off the fan grill right there, and if you see, the fan does move. It's being blocked a little bit, but there's also a cable connecting it. I was just trying to see if there's any way that I can get some extra movement out of it. But once you clear out this plastic right here, you'll see that there's a connector for the fan. And it didn't want to come out right away, so what I did is I was trying to use a prying tool, and that kind of loosened it up a little bit, and then it made it easier just to pull out. But you'll see, as I'm just trying to kind of avoid messing any of it up, especially since getting a new console, if it breaks, is a little bit harder right now. But I kind of had to take a look, so just don't pull too hard. Some of these cables might just pop out, so you don't want to take the risk right now, especially because of how hard the console it is to buy or even to replace. And here's, I pulled a little bit harder, and there we go, we got it. So once I removed the fan, from the article that I read, they had fan A, fan B, and there was a fan C. The fan C, none of them had it, and this is pretty much what the fan C would look like. This is the fan that was presented during the original Sony teardown of the PlayStation 5, but this was the fan that was present in that video. In the video that was on that website, they had two different fans, and this would be fan C. Now, as you can see, I am showing you that there is no obstruction, nothing that's hitting the fan, nothing that's blocking it. And just unboxing it and looking at it, I don't think it's the fan that's making the noise. I think the fan is super quiet. The video itself was named fan noise, but it's coil whine. That's what's going on. It's just that how it's distributed throughout the device, it seems like it's in the top area, also the bottom area, but it's a big chance it's the power supply. And in the next video, I'll go ahead and start covering some of that information. But as you can see here, we'll go ahead and turn it on, and the fan has not been assembled yet, still loose. Just trying to see what we get, and you should hear a little bit of a sound, and I'll keep moving the camera around so you can see that there is sound, but it's not coming from the fan. The fan itself is super quiet. It's not causing any humming or anything like that. So when the console itself is on, there is more noise. That is for sure. And once you put a game to play, it will increase the noise. But at this point, I have eliminated that it's anything with the fan, that nothing is hitting the fan like some other people have experienced. And it can get loud in certain situations. Now, in the PlayStation 4, when we had experience of loudness, it was due to the fan kicking in. But here, it's not the fan. It's just Coil Whine. And I think because of how quiet the fan is, you can hear the other sounds. But you'll see me move the fan around just to kind of show you that it's still doing what it's supposed to do. And if you keep listening, you might hear it. I did move the camera close and far. And I'll go ahead and plug in the HDMI cable. Right now, it's more on the main login screen, so it hasn't launched the game, but I'll go ahead and launch a game, and then I'll play the sound once I have that set up. All right, so here in the next little bit, you should start hearing maybe a little bit more of a humming. And this is me just moving the camera around so it picks up sound, just to show you that it's coming from different place. It's not coming from the fan. It's just, I think, how it's distributed throughout the body. It feels like it's coming maybe through the larger opening, but it's really positioned at the bottom and at the top of the device. I believe you hear it more when it's towards the back than the front. And if you have it standing up on the top of the device, you can kind of hear, but I think again it's more of how the sound is projected. And you'll see me move the fan around just to make sure, and I do kind of clip it a couple of times here and there. Alright, so after taking the device apart and looking at the fan, this is not the same fan as on the website that they have shown, where they had fan A, fan B. This would be more like the fan C. This is the same one that's presented by Sony in their teardown video. Furthermore, after just playing around with it, the noise is not coming from the fan, but it's more of a coil whine because of how silent the fan is. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more PlayStation content.